Prompt engineering is a skill that you must develop if you want to avoid being replaced at any field. That is why in today's video, I will explain how to prompt effectively using the ultimate ChatGPT guide. Make sure you stay till the end because I will cover how to write clear instructions, how to provide tests for reference, how to split complex tasks into simpler subtasks, how to give the model time to think, how to use external tools, and last but not least, how to test changes systematically. But first, let's define what prompt engineering is. Before ChatGPT, interacting with large language models was more complex. People often needed programming knowledge to use these models, usually through APIs or coding interfaces. This made them accessible mostly to those with coding skills, but ChatGPT significantly changed this by providing a more user-friendly conversational interface. This allowed a broader range of people, including those without programming skills, to interact with a sophisticated large language model. One of the notable features of ChatGPT is its ability to understand and respond in plain language, and this plain language is called prompts. The better you prompt, the better result you get from ChatGPT. To learn how to create prompts effectively, we will examine the ultimate guide on how to prompt effectively by OpenAI. So let's take a look together. First, write clear instructions. These models can read your mind. If outputs are too long, ask for a brief reply. If outputs are too simple, ask for expert-level writing. If you dislike the format, demonstrate the format that you like to see. The less the model has to guess at what you want, the more likely you will get it. Here is an example of an unclear instruction. Tell me about that thing. And now, here is an example of a clear instruction. Could you provide a summary of the novel 1984 by George Orwell? Here are some examples that OpenAI provided for us if you want to look at this further. So they have the worst and the better. The worst is like a lazy question. It's like you asking someone else to do something without context or without instructions, right? In this case, is how do I add numbers in Excel? But the right side, the better prompt, is a more instruction-based prompt because it's very specified. It's very clear. So the model, the large language model, in this case ChatGPT, will really know what we are looking for, and in this way you don't give a space to the model to guess. So it's very important to always give a very instruction-based prompt. In this way we can get the best output. Another very good tactic is when you ask the model to attack a persona. The first time that I learned about this, I was quite impressed, as ChatGPT can assume virtually any role. It's like having many advisors at your disposal that you can instruct or that you can ask questions. So you can ask ChatGPT, or you can tell ChatGPT, act as a lawyer. You can tell ChatGPT, act as a nutritionist. Anything that you want, and ChatGPT will take the role, and it will be like you speaking with someone with that degree or with someone that has that knowledge, and it will be very specific, and it will being very serious about it. Here are some examples. Act as a nutritionist. I'm on my way to becoming healthier and eating better so that I can fully benefit from all the vitamins available in fruits and food. Please create a month-long meal plan for me that focuses on the brain health and vitamins. But first, ask me the question that a nutritionist would typically ask before providing a meal plan. So as you can see, it's really taking the role of a nutritionist. It's asking me the questions that a nutritionist would ask before giving a meals plan. Crazy. Here is another example. Act as an AI expert. I'm on my way to becoming an AI expert and would like to know the fundamental knowledge necessary to excel in this field. What would you recommend? First, please ask me some questions to understand my current level of knowledge so that you can guide me accordingly. After assessing my knowledge, could you prepare a learning plan to help me achieve this goal? Please take a look at the quality of this output in order to achieve the goal that I have in mind. Now, it's asking me for more than 5 questions. It's asking me for my educational background, programming experience, understanding of AI concepts, practical expertise, mathematics, statistics, learning preferences, career goal, time commitment. After you answer these questions, it will create a roadmap that will help you to achieve this goal that you have in mind. Please, let me know in the comments how was your output after you answered all these questions. If you look at the prompt that I provided to ChatGPT, you will notice first that I'm giving ChatGPT a role, I'm giving it a degree, I'm giving it a persona. Then I'm telling ChatGPT the contents, and at the end, I'm telling ChatGPT what I have in mind, what I want to achieve with this prompt. Here is another tactic, which is called delimiters. They serve to clearly indicate distinct parts of the input. Delimiters are like punctuation marks in a sentence. Just like how a period tells you where a sentence ends, a delimiter shows where a piece of information begins and ends. They arrange data and are useful in computer programming and data work. They divide elements like in a list or set apart text sections for special processing. In ChatGPT, you can use symbols like quotes, brackets, or special tags to show different parts of what you type. This helps you if you have many texts to handle one by one. Here is a step-by-step breakdown of how you might use delimiters to ask for summaries of two different texts. Provide reference text. When language models are asked about very obscure or specialized topics, they might invent an answer. This is because they don't have access to real-time data or external databases. They can only generate responses based on patterns that they have learned during their training. Here is an example from OpenAI that is giving us a tactic to instruct the model to answer using a reference text. Look at it. Split complex tasks into simpler subtasks, just as it is a good practice in software engineering to decompose a complex system into a set of modular components. The same is true of tasks submitted to a language model. Complex tasks tend to have a higher error rates than simpler tasks. Furthermore, complex tasks can often be redefined as a workflow or simpler tasks in which the outputs or earlier tasks are used to construct the inputs to later tasks. Let me show you an example. Here is an example of a complex task. Provide an analysis of the economic impact of telecommuting in urban environments, considering factors such as transportation, real estate, and local businesses. This is a multifaceted question that could be quite complex to answer directly. Instead, you can split these complex tasks into simpler subtasks. This method helps the model to provide a more accurate information. It also makes the conversation easier to follow and more likely to offer detail. Here is an example of how to turn a complex task into a simpler subtask. First, what are the effects of telecommuting on urban transportation systems? Second, how does telecommuting influence real estate prices and demand in urban areas? And third, what impact does telecommuting have on local businesses in cities? When you ask these questions one by one, ChatGPT can focus on each part of the big topic. The answer to these easier questions help build a better view of how working from home affects cities' economies. This method helps the model to provide a more accurate information. It also makes the conversation easier to follow and more likely to offer detail. Let's move forward and let's talk on how to give the model time to think. This session also suggests that similar to how a person might not instantly know the answer to a mathematical problem but can figure it out given it time, AI models can also benefit from not being rushed. It implies that allowing the model time to think or process information can lead to fewer reasoning errors. It recommends asking the model to provide a chain of thought before giving an answer. This process can help the model work through the reasoning step by step, leading to a more accurate answer. Here is an example of how to use the chain of thought for a math problem. But first, let me show you a quick sample of what doesn't have a chain of thought. For example, what is the result of multiplying 17 by 28? Let me show you a chain of thought on a prompt. I need to multiply 17 by 28. To do this, I can multiply 10 by 28 to get 280. Then I multiply 7 by 28. Multiplying 7 by 20 gives me 140, and multiplying 7 by 8 gives me 56. If I add 140 and 56, I get 196. Finally, if I add 280 from the 10 multiplied by 28 to 196 from the 7 multiplied by 28, I will get the total. What is the sum of 280 and 196? By leading the model to think step by step, you help it splitting the problem into smaller and easier parts. Show the steps clearly and then put the parts together to form an answer. This not only makes the answer more accurate, but also makes the thinking process clear. Use external tools. The main idea here is that the language model have limitations. They can sometimes produce incorrect information, especially when they are asked about very specialized topics. For example, with ChatGPT, you can use the browser if you're looking for the latest information that's not within the model's knowledge base. Or you can use Python for mathematical problems or data analytics. Or you can use DALL-E to generate images based on descriptions provided in tests using an AI model that can create visuals from prompts. Here is an example of how you can use tools in ChatGPT. I need to analyze the sentiment of the following tweet. I love sunny days, but hate rain. Can you help me? And the last point that we're going to cover today is test changes systematically to make sure updates to an AI model really make it better. Testing the changes carefully is key. You need to check how every change works, not just in a few cases, but in many different situations. Thank you for watching. I strongly recommend subscribing to ensure you don't miss out any of our exciting upcoming videos. Join our community and be the first to enjoy our latest content.